are ready to regain your mental prop. We're fighting this war for our brain. Your thoughts create your income.
Your thoughts create your income.
Here's what I know. It's time for you to dream again. Let's start dreaming.
Let's start dreaming. All right, everybody. Hey, good morning. My name is Sean Murphy. I'll be your conversationalist here for the next 20 or so minutes. I'm doing it's a 30-part series to teach you, to share with you some ideas that'll help you in your brand. The understanding that we talk about your avatar. Dean Graziosi talks about your dot. We talk about your market segment. Who is your key customer? And a lot of times we come up with people who have these situations, right? They have these challenges. They have these problems. The key is to understand that when you're going to go build something, when you're about to go present yourself through marketing, it's critical for you to understand that the thing you're about to go build, the thing you're about to go share, isn't a product, isn't a service, because if it is, then you're dealing with commodities. Now, what is key is understanding that you are building something that is going to allow somebody to belong, right? Most people don't ever realize that. Most people don't ever create with that in the back of their mind. The avatar isn't looking for an option. They're not looking for another option. They're looking for a place. They're literally looking for a place where they can finally belong. I've said it for decades this way. People are looking for a reason to brag. You know, there's people who belong to companies and there's people who complain about companies. Well, Sean, they're not part of the company, and yet they're talking about it because they belong to the group of people who are frustrated, who are aggravated, who are agitated, right? There's things going on in the world right now that there's people who belong to particular groups. They're for, they're against, they're with, they're not. There are a variety of things, right? So people are looking for a place to brag, a place that they can go deeper on the topic that is the subject of the conversation. If you build this idea into your marketing, into your messaging, by knowing them deeper than they know themselves, that's what happens with coaches and mentors and teachers, right? There's good teachers who are mentors to students. There's good coaches who are mentors to their students, their clients. And then there's mentors who are consistently and constantly taking you to the next level. What if your marketing was based on mentoring? Yesterday, we talked about fitting in versus belonging. Today, we're going to go at a deeper level. Hopefully, you did some of your success work from yesterday, right? Yesterday, the conversation, some of the success work was for you to do your DMP. Hopefully, you've got that written out. If not, I'd encourage you to start sooner rather than later. Brene Brown said something important, right? And it's this theme that runs throughout this entire conversation for me. Brene Brown said the opposite of belonging is fitting in. Most entrepreneurs are spending their energy trying to fit into a market. Do you know what that means, right? Trying to fit into a group, fit into a market. Your definite major purpose, your DMP, is the end of that. When you market from your purpose, not from what you think you're supposed to say, the right people just don't buy from you. They belong with you. And that's what we're building here. That makes sense? So yesterday was this conversation about fitting in versus belonging. Today, we're going to go one level deeper. Because belonging doesn't start with you. Belonging doesn't start with you. It starts with knowing your person so well, your avatar so well, your customer so well, that when they find you, they feel like they've been reading their own journal. When they find you, they feel like they're reading their own journal. So let's have a conversation today about the DMP, your definite major purpose marketing system. Yesterday, we established your DMP is a marketing strategy. If you did the exercise and you have the 3 answers written down, those answers are what we're working with today. So episode 2, as we go a little bit deeper into the person, your purpose, what it's calling you to serve. What is you, the person? What is you, your purpose? What is it calling you to serve? Most entrepreneurs build their avatar backwards. They start with the demographics and end up with a fictional character that describes nobody. I'm going to give you some examples here in a second. Today, we build from the inside out, starting with the pain. Everybody talks about what is the pain? What is the thing you serve? What is the thing you solve? I had somebody who attended the class yesterday, really went into some deep dives into answering these questions. And I was wildly impressed with the thought that went into the conversation. So if you're ready, right, say, Jim Rohn would say, I'm ready. Let's get started. So bad avatar versus real avatar. Some people say my ideal client is 35 to 45-year-old female entrepreneur, college educated, makes between 50, 150,000, lives in the suburban area, and is interested in personal development. Sound familiar? That's not an avatar. That's a census category. You can't write an ad to that person. You can't look at that description and know what keeps them up at night. Isn't that what you're looking for? Is somebody who needs you, somebody who's searching for you, somebody who's on their knees saying a prayer, hoping that someone like you shows up in their life. Here's why that doesn't work. Demographics describe the container. I want you to think about this. If you've ever put leftovers away in the refrigerator and you had a pot of something and you had needed to figure out which one of the 1,000 pieces of Tupperware or Cool Whip dishes, for those of you might be a little bit older, what size container will all of that fit in? Well, if you just go get the container without understanding what's got to fit in it, what you want it to do, you're not marketing, you're just marketing to the container. You're not marketing to what's inside. They tell you that census little conversation we had, that demographic, tells you the shape of the box. What you're marketing needs to speak to what's inside the box, the fears, the frustrations, the desires, the exact language they use when they're talking to themselves at 2 a.m. There's some people who are really good at marketing that seem to know what's going on in your mind. The person your DMP is calling to serve is not a demographic. They're a human being with specific emotional needs. They're in a particular emotional situation. And the more precisely you can describe that situation, the more powerfully your marketing speaks to them directly, right? I'm a 35-year-old male. Maybe the real avatar as says, I wonder if I'm capable. College educated, family watching her struggle. Her family's watching her struggle. She's got a $50,000 to $150,000 income. She's tried 3 coaches already. Lives in the suburban area. Knows what to do, can't execute. Interested in growth. Needs a system, not more information. Does that make sense? These are the conversations. These are the things that are going on inside an avatar's mind? What is the emotional conversation that keeps them awake? So here's some questions to ask. Right? You know me, I love questions. So let's start to go inward just a little bit more into their psychology before we ever talk about the demographics. This is why you've heard me talk about the term psychographic, the way somebody thinks, the way somebody feels. And when you understand this, the way somebody thinks, the way somebody feels, what you'll find is there's a lot of people who think a certain way, and they're not the same age. They don't live in the same area. So that's what this conversation is about. So psychology comes first, demographics come last. Question one, what is the pain they're living with right now? Sometimes we don't want to ask that because it's the pain we're going through right now. It's not a surface pain, it's a real pain. The surface vision is I'm not making enough money. The deep version is I'm starting to wonder if I'm actually capable to do this. My family's watching me struggle, and I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending I have it figured out. Not that you've ever felt that way, but do you know anybody who's ever felt that way? I know I felt that way in the very beginning. When I got involved in network marketing some 24 years ago, I was running successful businesses. I had 7 businesses. I was in the top 3% of the industry that existed nationally. I was the stuff in my world, industrial sales. I was a key player in that industry. And then I got involved in network marketing, and I turned into something else. And boy, it was hard to wrap my arms around this idea of being a volunteer, this idea of people not listening to what would be best for them, right? Have you ever said, oh my God, this would be so good for them? I said that to the tune of $80,000 my first year. Let me finish. $80,000 in debt because I was doing it wrong. So question one, what is the pain they're living in right now? They're living with right now. You got to be able to answer that. Because the second version, that's what marketing needs to speak to. The second version, the real version, the surface version is, I'm not making enough money. That second version, if you're marketing, if you can figure out a way, and that's what this series is about, is to teach you how to market to that, to stop someone scrolling. Do you know what that means, to stop someone scrolling? You've got to get out of their prefrontal cortex. You've got to get out of their decision making, and you've got to move them into their heart. You've got to create something emotionally significant to stop them from scrolling. I know this because it's lambing season here at the ranch, and my social media hits, my social media following and dwell time, people watching my stuff, goes through the roof because I'm showing the baby lambs. Here's question 2. What have they already tried? Right? You're not a teacher. You're not here to teach. You're not here to teach somebody what to do. They've already tried a whole bunch of things. You're here to coach them through the pain that they're currently in. You're here to help them jump the gap. Does that make sense? Your ideal client has already tried to solve this problem. Do you know why? Do you know why people say, oh, it's one of those things? Think about that for just a second. Why does a potential prospect say, oh, it's one of those things? We think it's an objection to our particular business model. You know what it is? They're saying, I've tried something like that and it doesn't work. My neighbors have tried something like that and it didn't work for them, so it must not work for me because we're birds of a feather. They've bought the courses, they've hired the coaches, they've read the books. When you know what they've already tried and why it failed, You know exactly how to position yourself differently. Question number 3. What does this transformation actually look like for them? See, nobody wants change. How do I know that? Because people keep saying, I got to get out of my comfort zone. Do you know how easy it is to get out of your comfort zone? Nobody wants change. They want transformation. So get very specific. What is the information that transforms them? What does their transformation actually look like? What does a Tuesday morning look like after they've gone through your program? Do you ever think about that? This is session 2. Look at the way that we're changing the way we look at things. The more specific and the more visceral, the more emotional, the more real you can describe that destination, the more powerfully your avatar will feel pulled toward what you offer. See, there's 3 kinds of marketing. There's push marketing, which means throw a whole bunch of stuff up against the wall and throw a whole bunch of posts and memes out there. See who raises their hand. There's pull marketing, where you say something cool or you say something that's special and unique to you, that you pull them into you. Challenges is you're fighting their identity. Everyone has this identity that they believe is their true identity of who they are, whether they can be successful or not. That's the psychology of it. There's a third thing. You want them to seek you out, to find you, to pull you into their life. That's when you've made a connection. So let's find out the words. That went too far. There you go. You want to find out the words that your avatar is using? You go to Facebook groups. You look at the responses. If there's a meme that you find someplace, social media, Instagram, TikTok, that is kind of your niche, go look at the comments. If you want to get educated on what your prospect is thinking, what they are saying, what they are looking for, look at the comments. Actually look at the words. Go to 3 or 5 Facebook groups where your ideal client hangs out. Here's the challenge. Most people, all of this is, there's no fee for any of this. You can go do that this afternoon. You can go do that this morning. Not yours, theirs, where your ideal clients hang out, not your Facebook groups that you hang out in, where they hang out. This is why you have to understand what is the pain they're looking to solve. Read the first posts from new members. Read the most high commented posts. That's the raw, unpolished language for your copy, for your messaging. What is when somebody says, why do you think they ask? How many of you have been part of a group lately that it says, make sure you introduce yourself? That's why. They're wanting to know, what is it behind the curtain? What is it behind the polished image, the photoshopped image of you that you're about to post? Now, again, a no fee kind of conversation where you can go to learn the language. Amazon book reviews. Find the top 3 books in your niche. Go to the 3-star reviews, not the 5 stars. Those are too positive. Those are people who maybe know the author, know the group, have some kind of desire to be influential. Not the 1 stars either. They're too angry. They're frustrated. They're going to complain that the book didn't fix them. The book didn't do this. Go to the 3 stars, written by people who wanted transformation and felt something was missing. This describes the gap. This describes the gap you are about to fill to help them cross over on the bridge. You are the bridge across this gap, and they're describing it in their own words. And then look at your own past conversations. What's the words that they used before your coaching language rubbed off on them? Before you started to make them feel uncomfortable? The first call, the first email, mine it for your copy. What was the thing that caused somebody to raise their hand and reach out to you? not the dressed up version, not the award ceremony version, their exact words in your marketing. So those are 3 significant areas that you can go find out from the inside out. I use Amazon reviews all the time. You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed at what you can learn if you're not just reading it for word count. If you're reading it and imagine you're sitting across from that person having a cup of coffee or an energy drink or whatever it is, a smoothie, you're sitting across from that person and they just said, imagine them reading their review out loud. What would you respond to that? What's the pain they're feeling? Right? So, that being said, here's the resistance. This is what's going to be your resistance. But I don't want to narrow down. I want to help a lot of people. Here's what I hope that you hear. Right? We've all heard this. Riches are in the niches. The smaller you can get, the smaller you can get. How many people, let me ask you this. With your product, your service, the program you want to offer, the teaching you want to do, the coaching you want to do, what's the number of people you need to have in your organization? What's the number of first line, front people who can become your successors, who can become your presenters, who can become your mouthpieces about why, and they start telling people why they should work with you? How many of those people do you need? 1,000? 500? 100? You have a $5,000 program, 100, do the math. So why are you marketing to people who can't use your stuff because it's frustrating to you, it's aggravating to you? The riches are in the niches. How tight can you make your market? You've got a global market available to you through the digital world. When you attempt to speak to someone, when you attempt to speak to everyone, you speak to no one. When you get specific to that one person in that specific situation, those people, the right people, light up. They light up, they feel seen, they line up, they share your content. How many of you have ever shared content? The reason is because it made sense like you. They buy without needing to be convinced. Zig Ziglar said it best, right? Sales is a transference of enthusiasm. The reason more people are not buying from you is because they're not enthusiastic. You haven't inspired them to say, I need some more of that. Joseph McClendon III says it best. Your goal is to get somebody to see your stuff and say, I want some of that. I want some of that. If you're posting stats and statistics and content and the Me Too meme, who wants more of that? You don't want more of that. So here's the thing about building your avatar this deeply. You're not doing it so you can target them better. Listen carefully. You're doing it so that when they find you, and they will find you, they don't feel marketed to. They feel found. They feel like maybe for the first time, someone is speaking the actual language. They don't feel like they feel like maybe for the first time, someone is speaking their actual language, not a version of it, not a polished transition, the real thing, the absolutely raw and real conversation you would have with somebody. That's not fitting in with a market. That's creating a place where people finally belong, and they'll never leave a place where they truly belong. So that's episode 2. Tomorrow, we're going to go into episode 3, the one problem your business actually solved. What's the biggest one? Jim Rohn's business partner and president for 18 years, Kyle Wilson. If you've ever heard of Jim Rohn, it's because of Kyle Wilson, the marketing genius that is Kyle. I've been a part of his mastermind now for 11 years. He's a dear friend. And he talks about the one domino that knocks over all the other dominoes. What's the one problem your business actually solves? Most entrepreneurs are accidentally solving 3 or 4 problems and wondering why their message isn't landing. We're going to fix that. So do today's exercise, answer those questions, and become aware that you are in the process of uncovering and discovering what makes you special. Why are people going to connect with you? All right? Do today's exercises, build your avatar from the inside out, write the deep pain, what they've already tried, and write the specific destination they're going to arrive at. What's the transformation they're going to go through when they get in touch with you, when they have your energy in their world? Go find their words, bring them tomorrow, and we'll see you then. So for those of you watching this YouTube, I love you tons. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to go have some conversation with the Zoom group. If you want to learn more, reach out to me. There's a workbook that goes along with this program. If you've purchased the program, you already have the workbook. And there's a personal marketing assessment that I have that you'll be getting a copy of as a consumer of this product. It's a $100 assessment to help you really understand what your marketing triggers, what your current marketing faces, and how you can upgrade that. So I'm your head brain training, brain scrambling misfit.